Hey everybody, hope you're doing well. Welcome back to an episode of CSGO News. As always, time marks for every story are down below for all of you. Welcome back to our first episode back in the house. We are no longer in the apartment for the rest of the summer. We're going to be down here, going to be trying to figure out more microphone setups and better audio for all of you, as well as a webcam. But for now, I want to share with all of you guys a big story many of you probably heard about the last 2 days or 48 hours. We actually had a Team Manatee situation. Now, we've heard plenty of stories in the past several weeks about corrupt CSGO owners. We actually had Brian Cordry on screen for all of you. That was the former Winter Fox owner before he disbanded that roster and left them stranded in Australia without 2 months pay, as well as without visas to get back to America. That was one corrupt owner for you. And now we have, of course, Christian Tulleners on screen for all of you as of right now. Actually, the current owner for Team Manatee. It does seem going forward, though, that Team Manatee will not consist and will not persist in their actual CSGO ventures, but he is not necessarily a corrupt owner. Now, many of you probably heard about the first story being released when Robin, one of the current members for this Manatee lineup, tweeted out things like this, and he had said, "Can you please unblock us? Can you please give us our salaries?" It does seem ever since then this situation has been resolved. So for all of you thinking Christian Tulleners, now the next corrupt CSGO owner, it does seem he had very good reasons to do this, and the team has, as of right now, been paid. Now, to give you guys the backstory for the original situation, we had Robin actually reach out to us from the team, and apparently most of their lineup had not been paid. So I'll show you guys their 5-man lineup on screen right now for all of you. And initially, within 3 to 4 days, actually most of the lineup had not been paid, besides their member Quicks, who had been paid ahead of time to pay his own rent. The other members, including their coach, had actually not been paid until just yesterday, when the Team Manatee owner Christian Tulleners took to Reddit to actually inform us he had finally paid all those members. Now, the situation for all of you, this roster had only been together for about 3 months, only 1.5 months with Team Manatee. They went to Copenhagen Games together. That afterwards, after their short run there, that's where Robin actually left the roster. And for starters, why Robin was not paid his initial salary, why he was complaining on Twitter, was because he left that roster and therefore he did not earn his salary or his contracted salary. Now, ever since then, Amar, the other players, have actually been paid, and that's actually been given proof to us by the owner, Christian Tulleners. So going forward, it does seem as of right now, of course, Team Manatee, in response to the situation, in the first few days, he actually deleted all of his social media, which made him seem like an immediate bad guy. That is the one thing you do not want to do. He said he panicked because there was a lot of rage in the community, a lot of backlash right away. He panicked and deleted their Twitter as well as their Facebook page, but his Facebook page was still active, his own personal Facebook page, and he said he did deeply regret deleting those social medias. But it does seem, after talking to Robin going forward, they all have been paid. The situation is resolved, but going forward, unfortunately enough, a stint like this, the current Team Manatee roster without Robin, even though he left the roster, they will not continue on together. And in more exciting news for all of you, but most likely a troll and a fake story, I do want to talk about the famous North American organization known as Evil Geniuses and why they've never had a Counter-Strike Global Offensive team. Now, I talked about this on this channel a couple months ago for all of you. I'll link the video down below as well. I want to quickly explain why this news is actually probably trolling or fake news, a potential return to an Evil Genius roster. But first off, I do want to talk about as to why Evil Geniuses never had a CSGO roster, because they were well known in their Counter-Strike days for having some good rosters, while they've never returned to CSGO. To quickly explain the reasons for all of you, they did have a roster lined up. It was going to be Swag, Skadoodle, along with Dazed, AZK, and Hiko as their 5th before MLG Aspen. Now, this is quite some time ago, but right before MLG Aspen, the tournament actually started, the X-I situation did unveil itself, and those players were under investigation, and potentially that's where Evil Genius's roster did fall through. Now, on top of this, Twitch also is partially owned, or actually partially owns Evil Genius's organization, and that presented itself as an unfair advantage for Evil Geniuses if they did have a Counter-Strike roster when it came to match plays, practices, having their own stream team, that kind of thing. Several North American organizations apparently contacted Evil Geniuses as well as Twitch and threatened to stop using their services if they did have a CSGO roster. Now, allegedly, Cloud9 was actually involved in that, one of those sending letters over. But more than that, guys, those are potentially 2 reasons as to why EG has never had a CSGO roster and continues not to. Now, potentially, a couple days ago, we had a mix of 5 Rank S and Premier players actually change their profile pictures and Steam names to that of Evil Geniuses. As of right now, I waited 48 hours later. Only one member still has that. His name is SML. I'll show that on screen for all of you. And now we do have potentially the opera of the group known as Odaris actually tweeting out things like this. It seems almost as if it's a running joke now, and I really highly doubt Evil Geniuses would return to the CSGO scene with a mix of Rank S and Premier players, lower tier players. You would think they'd at least invest. I mean, this could make a smaller tier academy team, but you think if EG actually decided to return, they would buy out a roster or certainly buy out better players than this. It does seem to be a running joke and a definite troll. I highly doubt Evil Geniuses will sign these 5 players. If they do, I was wrong, but I highly doubt it. So that's very unfortunate. I'm very excited one day if Evil Geniuses does return to the CSGO scene. And I want to share this very important story with all of you. There's actually going to be a 2-part story, but I really want to share about this. One of my better friends out there, Zuri, and he actually did quit gambling a couple days ago. Now, this might not be CSGO newsworthy for all of you, but I have so much respect for this guy and a great friend of mine. I will link his YouTube channel down below. One of the more creative minds out there on YouTube that I've actually had the chance to know and get to know over the past few years. Many of you guys know he was one of the first YouTubers I actually met on through CSGO, and it was crazy to see that yesterday he released this video and has actually decided to quit gambling for good. Now, it's amazing to see he's built up such an audience, 71,000 plus subscribers just off gambling, and it now seems he has turned a new leaf. I hope he can actually keep this up. I am so proud of him, and I hope you guys can be proud of him too and show him some love and some support. His YouTube channel will be down below. He is one of the more creative YouTubers out there, has some great funny videos, and that's why I'm shouting him out in this. And yes, Zuri was one of the first YouTubers to make so much money through gambling to actually now turn a leaf and quit gambling for good. Best of luck to you, Zuri. But even more importantly for all of you guys, Eleague Season 4 is now announced its official return. Many of you have known in the past for Season 1 and 2 of their CSGO scenes, they actually had great performance and as well as great production quality, and they actually took a break. They only were scheduled for 2 seasons of CSGO. They went to Season 3 of Eleague. That was actually for Street Fighter 5, excuse me, and it actually did very well as well. They're very well renowned for great production quality, and they will now be returning officially for Eleague Season 4, not Street Fighter 5 coming back. It's actually CSGO. Their newest CSGO season will happen this September, actually a couple months from now, September 1st. Cannot wait to see that. Eleague is now back in action. And in tournament recap, for the first time in a long time, I have not recapped the tournament on here for CSGO news in a long time, so I'm so excited to spoil all for all of you. The tournament which wrapped up this morning, if you guys have not seen the IEM SYDNEY finish, well, these are spoilers coming right now. The $200,000 tournament was won by SK Gaming, who has returned to form. They won CS Summit last week, the $63,000 take home there, as well as this week, the $100,000 grand prize. They take your first place over FaZe Clan in the finals. To recap for all of you, though, the rocky group stage we had for several teams. Now, of the 8 teams on screen right now for all of you, there were definitely 3 underdogs teams, that being Vici Gaming, Renegades, alongside Chief Esports, but you would not have guessed North to be in that. Now, obviously, the remaining 5 teams, one of them had to join the 4 teams who would not move on, and it was Team North who only won 1 match, and they actually would join those 4 underdog teams, like I mentioned before, and the teams who did not move on. It was Optic Gaming, Astralis, SK, and FaZe who did move on, although Optic Gaming played a very close matchup with Chief Esports to actually determine who would go on throughout the groups. In this Swiss format, the first team to 3 wins would actually move on. They played them very closely, 16-10, so it very likely could have been swapped there, and Chief Esports could have been in there. Unfortunately enough, though, for them, they did not make it. Now, it was SK Gaming who showed Optic who was boss. They 16-1 them on train, as well as 16-7 on overpass. They rolled them so hard and played them so well. Although Optic, for all of you guys who did not remember, Hayes did actually stand in for Jason R as the IGL for the team, and they are definitely not a certified roster going forward, have no definite 5th, but I would expect a little bit more out of them. SK Gaming showed them who was boss in that best of 3 actual series. Now, moving on from that as well, it was FaZe Clan who took down Astralis in a closer matchup in the best of 3, which went to map 3, although map 3, I think it was 16-9 or 16-10. FaZe Clan and Nico alongside them showing some great supreme talent over there, but it was SK Gaming who took down FaZe Clan in the best of 5 IEM SYDNEY finals, and it actually was 3-1. They beat them, I think it was 16-12 on train, 16-7 on cash, and finally 16-11 on overpass. They did deny a comeback on overpass, though, to win that final 3rd map, and it was Cold Zero who took your MVP of the tournament, so congrats to SK Gaming. They're now back on top and looking in top form. We'll see how they do in the next coming weeks for our upcoming tournaments for CSGO. And that, folks, was our first episode back at home for the rest of the summer. Hope you guys all enjoyed. The like bot is definitely gone because, I mean, we're still getting great like to dislike ratio. Thank you all so much for that. You guys are absolutely amazing. Please leave a comment down below. It's a lazy Sunday here, so please leave a comment down below. I'm going to reply to as many comments as possible with my crappy internet. You guys are probably not going to be seeing this video for quite some time. My upload speed currently right now is 1.6, so this video could take 4 hours to upload. As always, live, love, laugh a lot. Remember, my name is Jake. Remember, I like you. I will see you guys all hopefully tomorrow or sometime soon with some special CSGO videos as well as CSGO news. Thank you all for watching. I seriously like you a lot. I need you. Goodbye!